In this video, I want to talk about our philosophy and framework that we use to negotiate balanced construction contracts. Now, as you know, we believe in having balanced construction contracts. And if you want to know what that means, I have another video that I will link somewhere that you can go and watch to understand what that means for us. Whenever I post about the way we negotiate balanced construction contracts, I do get a little bit, I guess, people are skeptical that you can negotiate that way. And it is interesting to me because I don't see the need to do negotiations in the industry in the way that we do it. Now, everyone knows that in our industry, we tend to have this philosophy about pushing things down the supply chain. So we push down the risk whether or not the other party can manage or mitigate that risk. We also have what is called in the industry unfair terms. And these are terms that just are one sided and very much unfair to the other party. There's no real sharing of any roles and responsibilities. And we also have a culture of adversarial construction contracts and relationships and negotiation of those contracts. And it is not uncommon to be in a negotiation and see how the balance of power plays out. People throw their weight around. Major players use it to their advantage, and the smaller players feel like they don't have a chance or they don't have a voice. And so I am the person who I am not adversarial. I am not one to shout and get all bothered about things. I don't necessarily wear all my emotions on my sleeve, especially in a negotiation. I will tell you if I'm happy and I'll tell you if I'm not. And I therefore had to find a way to negotiate effectively that didn't require those attributes. I'm quite small, I'm a woman in a male dominated industry, and I had to find my own way. When I started out in the industry, honestly, I was taught, like many people are taught, that you negotiate contracts a certain way. You power suit, you power talk, um, the stereotypical things that we are told about negotiations and how to present yourself in a negotiation. It didn't work for me. And I also recognized that it doesn't work for the industry because pushing risks down the supply chain to organizations that can't manage it has created huge problems. And there's a huge risk bubble within the industry that is just waiting to pop. Like a lot of these indemnities that are so called insurance backed, where no one has checked if the insurance is going to back it or whether the supplier even has insurance. And so I know that there has to be a better way of doing negotiations, balanced negotiations that bring fruit, balanced construction contracts. And when I created Haywood Commercial, I decided that we were going to try a different way of negotiating. Now, the framework and the philosophy that we have, this is something that I had prior to Haywood Commercial. But having my own business has enabled me to actually try something out, try something new. Because when I worked in large organizations and I would often go to them and say, let's do it this way, there was always a lot of pushback. We're going to do it the way we've always done it. And I'm like, but the way we've always done it is not working. When are we going to just read the writing on the wall and try something different? And in many cases, they didn't. Here and there, I got little wins, but in the grand scheme of things, we continued plowing the field the way we always did. So here is our philosophy framework, and this is what we use to negotiate balanced contracts. This is how it looks. And why it's done like this is it shows that there is a outer part, there is a middle part, and there is an inner part. And this philosophy framework I came up with because I have been fortunate enough to live in different countries, to travel different countries, to meet different people from different cultures. And I've worked with these people, I've negotiated contracts with these people. And there is something that I've realized is that to the core, here we are all the same, and we just present the other part differently. And it means, therefore, how I view my negotiations is I'm always going to the core of people, what connects us, not how we look, speak, present. All that is just the the fabric in which we clothe ourselves. But ultimately, in here is where we target. So we peel away the layers to get to here and build it back up. And you will see here the reference to God and spiritual. That is because that the core of who I am, I believe in God. I use the principles. And I just want to say that this philosophy framework is nothing new. You've probably seen something like this before. There are probably people out there who are doing similar things because there is a universal mind that feeds into all of us. But where I get my inspiration and my information from is the Bible with the big B. And if you've been following me out for a while on social media and my podcasts and if you know me in real life, then you know that I believe that the Bible is the best book for everything that we could ever want to know in terms of how to run our lives, our business, our families. And it is often the first book that I go to if I want to solve a problem because it's like the best how to book, the best self help book, the best negotiating book, the best public speaking book. That book is just the best on everything, in my view. And I believe in the laws and the covenants of God. And so it forms the foundation for everything that I do. And I will explain that a little bit more in the next slide. So I've broken it out for you to give you a clearer view of what that looks like. And we believe that every person and organization has three layers. There is a conscious side, which is the fabric that we clothe ourselves in. That's how we present ourselves in our daily lives and to people and in the negotiation room. There's a superconscious side that understands to a level, a deeper level, what that means, who we are and what we believe we represent. And there's a subconscious level that is deep within us that we may not be aware of everything that is there, but it touches to the core of who we are. So this is touches to the core of who we are. This is who we think we are, and this is how we present ourselves. That's our philosophy here at Haywood Commercial. And so when we go to negotiate for our clients, we go through this process. We go through this process with our clients in setup for the negotiation. So you will read a lot of books on negotiation, watch a lot of videos, a lot of people talk about it, and they tend to give you similar tips. Do this, speak this way, um, you know, ask questions, be the first one to do this. Don't do There's a lot of do this, do that. But what I've found is that the doing part is secondary. It is secondary to doing this work. The do this part is here in this conscious section. And so we don't try to match people in negotiations in this conscious section. We try to go as close as possible to here. What I mean by that. So there is a clip by T. Harv Eker. I One of the people that I like listening to. And he has a story where he went to McDonald's to purchase something. And he wanted something a certain way. I don't fully remember the story, to the T. So I'm going to give you my abridged version. He wanted to purchase something, and I'm sure we've all experienced it where we've gone in, we've said, "Can you do X for us?" Maybe on the menu it says, Y, but we're like, no, typical example, you go and you buy a burger, it comes with lettuce and tomato, maybe you don't like tomato, so you ask the person, "Can you please not put the tomato on my burger?" And their response is, "No, it comes with tomato." And you're like, "I know, but I don't like the tomato. I don't want the tomato." Uh, So they're in their conscious part. "No, but this is how we sell it." And then you say to them, "Oh, did you know that you can remove it? It's possible to remove the tomato for me." And they get a aha. They've never thought of that. And he has a story where I'll link a clip to the story where he talks about going into McDonald's and having this um, exchange with the lady at the till about something, and she was like, um, "Oh no, we don't do it that way." And he's like, "But yes, you can." And it never occurred to her that she could, because she was so stuck in this conscious side that she just accepted that this is the way they do things in that store. And it never occurred to her that, oh, hey, my customer would like it this way. And it is possible. I am allowed to make that tweak in this instance for this customer, because he was a regular customer at that McDonald's. People knew him, like people knew his name, like it's like Cheers. If everybody knows your name, okay. Hope you got that reference. But and and so what happened there, he moved beyond this conscious side and went deeper down into her superconscious side, down to her subconscious side. So he went to her belief, right? He went to her belief that her belief is that she couldn't do it that way. But that's not true. So he went to the core, her core, to touch on love, because we love, um we I believe that to our core we love helping people. I believe that. And truth. The truth is is something that cannot be changed. truth with a capital T is the beginning and the end. And so, therefore, she realized that actually my belief in this is not correct. And I want to help this person. He's always here, always buying from us, a pleasant person. I can help him. And so he moved from this conscious side, which was locked into this is the way we do things, to challenging her belief, to triggering her subconscious self, which is, I love helping people. And therefore, he was able to get her to do that which he asked, which wasn't, which I would say was not illegal, it was not immoral. There are conditions to these things. Um, and so that is how we use our philosophy framework. When we are instructed by a client, we go through this process with our clients as well to understand to the very core what they are about, what the business is about, what they're trying to achieve. And we go to the core and bring it all the way back up to the conscious mind. And we clothe ourselves here by coming up with how we're going to display our power within that negotiation. What's the strategy going to be? What's the mindset? Who are the stakeholders, the people, or what are the enablers? We go through all of that to come here. So, in many negotiation books and training, they will start from here, from the conscious side, and that's it. They'll just tell you, do this, get that strategy. Uh, we start from the core and we move up to this side. So, we add two more steps to it. And so, how does that look in a negotiation, for example? Is we do background work. We don't just turn up to a negotiation and not know who we're negotiating against, who is the representative or the agent, what are their beliefs, what are their environment, you know, all of that stuff. We do that background check. So when we get to the negotiation room, we have a clear understanding of what their beliefs are. And we're asking these questions as well to understand this, moving through our framework. So we know the beliefs that we need to debunk, that we need to talk about, that we need to attack. We know the energy level of the person. Do we need to match that energy? Do we need to bring them up to our energy? We know the relationships. We know all of that. And then we can go to the core, which is love. And what is the ego of that person? Do I need to massage their ego? If they're full of themselves, do they like to hear good things about themselves? Like one of the things that used to get me in negotiations, for example, was people never used to say my name. I love it when people say my name. So there's a tip for you if you're negotiating against me, because it says to me that you acknowledge that I am present. And everybody loves to hear the sound of their name, right? And so that is how and if you can go to these levels, then you're able to see, and why God is here is because we see ourselves in each other. We see God in the person we're negotiating against. And what does that mean? We are polite, we're respectful, we treat the person as a human being, and we are transparent in the best way possible, and we are human like. So we are not there banging on tables, up in anyone's faces, making demands, do this or else. We are not there like that because we see ourselves in the other person, we see God in the other person, and we would not treat ourselves like that. And so it sets the tone of the negotiation and it sets the tone of the contract because, as I said it before, construction is so adversarial, sometimes to the point where it's aggressive. And that's not something that we like to participate in. And so we disarm people by going to the core and doing things that way. So this is our philosophy framework. This is what we use in our negotiations. This is what we know works. We've used it, like we use it daily. We use it for other things as well, not just negotiations. And it works. It absolutely works. We get better payment terms for our clients. We get um, you know, overall better terms in the contracts, better relationships. And I was sitting down the other day going over a report that we did, a briefing on a contract that we negotiated, and it was very interesting because out of let's say 10 issues, 8 we got. We own two of them we didn't get. And when I say get, I mean in terms of the proposal, we wanted them to be extensively amended in the contract. That's what I mean. And we had to compromise on those two. And the the reason given by the other party was it was reasonable in these circumstances. They were not being unreasonable, and we knew this going into the negotiations that those two issues would be a hard sell. But out of 10 issues, we got 8. And for those other two issues, we were able to put certain measures in place to manage them and mitigate them, which goes to show that this method works. Because I've been in negotiations before where if we have 10 issues, like maybe one or two is settled, or we come away with nothing settled, and the contractor is like, I'm going to sign anyways. Like in when I was working like as a full-time employee, for example, in those organizations, that this is the way we do things. you know, I've sat in negotiations where we come away and nothing is agreed, and because the contractor really wants the work, they just go ahead and sign the contract anyways. So for us to be able to negotiate like 10 issues and walk away with 8 of them being agreed and resolved is a huge testament to that this framework works. And so this is what we use. This is our philosophy framework to negotiate balanced construction contracts. This is just an overview of it, of course. If you would like more information on this, if you want to go and test it out, go and do so. We're always, you know, trying new things, um, improving, taking lessons as we go along, and improving what we do. So, as we get more and more data from our negotiations, we do collect data. Um, as we get more and more data of how this works, we will continue to improve this and just make it a lot better to give us the results that we want. And so here at Haywood Commercial, we believe in balanced contracts because we know that balanced contracts give you greater profits. And so as I always say, let's let's build something great together. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and visit our website, haywoodcommercial.co.uk. I'm Patricia Haywood. Bye.